Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Real Hazardous. Today we're going to be doing some tests on some wire rigs, kind of comparing the crimps versus tying knots and looking at different strength wire and things of that nature. We got a really cool pull tester to use, so we're going to get some really good data on how strong these rigs are, so stay tuned. I like to use wire for fish like wahoo, kingfish, sharks, species with sharp teeth that can cut regular monofilament or fluorocarbon. So we'll use the 7-strand wire because it's less prone to break from the sharpness of their teeth. And also, before we get too far into it, I'd really like to thank Lux. They let me use their pull tester for these tests and to get some better feel for how strong these knots are. Lux makes a lot of cool products. They make boating hardware such as rod holders, cleats, hinges, latches, and so forth. And they also have a lot of fishing gear. So if you need anything, like that, be sure to check out Lux, and they've got some really good high quality parts. There are basically two types of rigs that I use. One is the basic, I call it the 60-second kingfish rig, and basically just tying it around the hook, and you do that around however many hooks you want if you want your stinger, and then your nose hook, and then up to your swivel. When you get to your swivel, then I'll do a figure 8 knot. But sometimes we also use crimps. Now, live baiting for wahoo has become more popular in our area. Pretty fun thing to do. I've got to try it and I really enjoy it. And with that, we basically use a souped up kingfish rig. So for kings, I might use 40-pound or 60-pound 7-strand, and then wahoo, I'm bumping it up to 90, may go even higher. But today, that's kind of the main sizes I'm testing is that 45, 60, and 90-pound 7-strand. So the first thing I was curious about was the normal knot that I use to connect the rig to the barrel swivel, and that's a figure 8 knot. Now this is a super simple, very quick, easy knot. I really love it because it's just so easy to do and it's so fast. It's hard to mess up. But it doesn't look very strong, to be honest. If you look at it and you see how simple it is, you can be like, I don't feel good about that knot. Well, a charter guy, a friend of ours, Captain Eddie Smith on the Turtle, who fished many years, great fisherman, he taught me that knot. It's what he used, and I started using it, and I haven't had any issues. But I've mainly been using it on kingfish and using fairly light drags, maybe 3 or 4 pounds of drag. So haven't put much heat on it. So today we're going to put some heat on it and see how strong it really is. So first thing I did was I created a figure 8 knot and tied it to a 150-pound crock barrel swivel, and I set it up in the tester and started pulling it. 50 pounds, 60, 70, 80. Braid knot is slipping. 84 max. I was pretty happy that this got to 84 pounds before the line broke. I thought it might pull the knot loose, it might come undone, but it never happened. It broke a little below the knot, which seems to be what I typically see, and it broke at 84 pounds. And the break strength of the wire was 90. So that's pretty good, I feel like. Most of the time for my rigs, even for the bigger wahoo stuff, I'm using 30, maybe 40-pound line. So if this ain't breaking till, 84 pounds, that's plenty strong enough. I mean, I'm never going to put that much pressure. If I do, well, my line's going to break at that point. So I tied the same knot, figure 8 knot, to 60-pound line and put it on the same 150-pound swivel and did the pull test again. 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 44 pounds. This was interesting because it only got to 44 pounds before it broke. Now again, it didn't pull the knot undone. It broke a little bit below the knot. I don't know if maybe there was a bad spot in the wire. I don't know, something about pulling it maybe it makes it break just below it. But it was a little interesting that it broke 60-pound line, broke at 44 pounds. Finally, I did the same test with 45-pound wire. Again, 150-pound crock swivel, and started pulling it. 15, 20, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. This one actually broke at 48 pounds. So that's actually a little bit above the line rating. So, you know, I guess it's not totally exact. It can be a little strong, can be a little weaker, but the fact that it held up, you know, right there at the breaking strength tells me that it's a pretty good knot. So I'm really happy with the results of the knot. I feel really good about using this knot even on the bigger 90-pound line, you know, putting more pressure on it for fish like wahoo, things like that. The next thing I wanted to compare this to is crimping the line. Knots are great, but some people want to do crimps, and I thought, hey, maybe the crimps are bigger for this heavier line. Turns out, you know, the 90-pound line, the figure 8 knot worked well, but let's see what happens with the crimps. Now, an important thing to keep in mind is I did 2 tests here because there are different types of crimps. Like I have a regular straight crimp that I've been using on mono, but when I went to the tackle shop, they said there's a special crimp that they recommend for wire. I picked up that special crimp, and I'll take a closer picture to show you. It looks like a normal crimp here, but there's actually like kind of like little jagged teeth. So when you crimp onto it, it's going to put like dimples along the crimp, kind of extra pressure points for grip. So we're going to test if this really makes that big of a difference. I set up the test machine. I had 3 different samples to get an average, and I did the pull test with them. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85. The first pull test, we got to 85 pounds with the crimp. And again, the crimp didn't fail. The line actually broke. So that was 90-pound line, and it broke just a hair under its rating. But it didn't pull the crimp. It didn't pull through the crimp. It just broke. 5 pounds. 10. 15. 20, 30, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75. Second test, I got similar results. This got to 82 pounds, a little bit less, but again, the crimp didn't break, the crimp didn't come undone, the line broke below it. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. The third test was interesting. The third test, the crimp actually did come loose. The line pulled out of the crimp at only 57 pounds. So that was kind of interesting. I don't know what caused it to fail weaker than the other 2. Maybe it was a bad crimp or something like that. I don't know. Definitely a little concerning. Now, granted, in normal fishing conditions, I'm not getting to 57 pounds because remember, I'm probably using 30 or 40 pound lines. By the time I get to the leader, I'm probably not going to be manhandling the fish. I'm probably going to be gaffing the fish. So it's not something I probably would have lost the fish on, but it is a little concerning that it pulled out at that, you know, force. But let's see if the special crimpers really make a difference. Same thing, I did 3 tests, did an average, crimped them with these bad boys, and let's look at the results. 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15, 22, 30 pounds, 40, 45, 50, 60, 75, 85, 90. So the first test, we actually got to 95 pounds. And in this test, the line actually did pull through the crimps, but again, it was over the 90-pound break strength of the line. It was kind of an interesting result, but well above, what was necessary. 10 pounds. 20 pounds. 30. 40. 50. 60. 70. 80. 90. The second test, we got to 93 pounds, and that broke at the wire. So it didn't pull through the crimp, but broke through the wire. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80. The final test, we got to 82 pounds. So below the strength of the wire, the crimp did not fail, but the line itself broke. Again, don't know if just bad spots, just inconsistency in the line. But that seems to be fairly normal from the test I've been doing so far. Regular line, no crimp, no swivel, no knot. Even that doesn't always break at exactly what they specify. It's in a range or so. So overall, if you're doing crimps, I would recommend getting the ones with these little teeth. It seemed a little more consistent, and I think it just gives you a little bit of extra strength that it'd be nice to have. They're easy to use, they're helpful, so you might as well use the right ones. But that being said, the knot is pretty much in line with the crimp. I mean, it's very strong. I totally trust the knot now. I don't have any issues about doing the knot. It kind of comes down to just preference. Now, a couple other things I want to check. I did a test with the hook itself with that knot that I do, the 60-second kingfish knot. I tied that around the hook, put the loop around the hook, and did a pull test to see if that knot would be plenty strong enough. I'm using a VMC 4/0, which I believe is the 7265 hook, and I've got that wrapped with a 90-pound wire. I'm spending 15 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 65. So no failure with the knot, the hook. It started bending earlier in the test, so that was kind of the weak point, is the hook bending. If you got a lot of pressure, then well, you can definitely bend the hook, so be careful. But again, if you're using 30, 40 pound line, you're not going to get to that point to break the hook, because you're going to break the weakest part in your system, which is probably the fishing line. So we did a lot of good tests. We did knot versus crimps, straight crimps versus the special jagged tooth crimp. We tested the strength of the hook, and one thing I did notice was when we did our test with that 90-pound wire and we got to like 84, 90, 80 pounds, I noticed it was bending my little barrel swivel. It's rated for 150 pound of force, it's a 150 pound barrel swivel, but it was bending, already at 70, 80, 90 pounds of force. So just to check that part of my rig, I did some pull tests with those. We're at 5 pounds. 10 pounds. 15. 20. 25. 30. 35. 40. 45. 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, 105, 110, 115, 120, 25. 125 pounds. And it was kind of interesting because on the first one, it broke at 125 pounds. 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, 105, 110, 115, 120, 125, 130. The second one broke at 131 pounds. So that is below the 150 pound rating. Now granted, you know, everything else is weaker than that. 30, 40 pound line, right? 60, 90 pound wire, 150 pound swivel. Even if it's breaking out 120, 130, it's so far the strongest part of my rig actually, even though it's under their value. So I'll probably do some more tests with some swivels if you guys want to see that. But the point to all of this is to give you guys some confidence. Whether you go the crimp route or the knot tying route, both knot and crimp are strong options. They're going to be plenty strong enough for your applications. If you want something that's quick to tie, do the tie rig. You know, it's definitely quicker than crimping each section. But if you like having the loops, having a little bit of flexibility, or you just prefer crimps, again, it'll work fine. They're both going to be plenty strong enough. If you guys want to see any other tests, well, let me know. Hopefully we can do some more pull tests and you know, do some tests, bust some myths maybe. But thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, Real Hazardous, and follow us on the other social media platforms. We do different shorts and reels and stuff like that. So we'll see you guys next time.